Hi everyone, it's Paula from On a String and welcome to my first Facebook Live for 2025 featuring triangles galore. And special shout out to Anita from my Bead Society who gave me the suggestion of doing a session on triangles. And once I started planning this session, there were more triangles in my bead world than I actually thought. So I've got lots of different things to show you today. So we're going to go through some triangle beads, how to use triangle shapes in beading, metallic triangles, beaded toggles that are triangles. There's lots of different things that I'm going to demonstrate for you today. So thank you so much, Anita, for that suggestion. I'll also go through and show a couple of other things today, the rest of the Facebook Live schedule for this year, some new workshops that I've got coming up hosted by me at On a String on Zoom and in person. I've also got some exciting new resources that I've been working on to share with you today as well. But let's get started and have a look at some of the ways that I've used triangles in my beading in the past. Okay, so what I've got here is a bit of a selection of my beading that is based on triangles. So lots and lots of different things that have got triangle bases in them. This one here, this is what was called my El Deco pendant. This is one that I submitted to a Bead Society competition a couple of years ago, and it uses triangles to actually create these components within the piece. So these are peyote based triangles, and I've got some little freshwater pearls in those as well. And it's also just got really, 4 triangles here in the center to make that piece. And that's, I think, the really interesting part about triangles is the angles that it gives you and the ability then to create those components and shapes from building triangle upon triangle. So that's one example. Another one I have here is similar sort of vein. So this is one I did probably 10 years ago, even when I laid all these projects out to show. My husband came and he goes, gee, that's an old one. I said, yes, it is, but it still has triangles. And just here, there are 2 triangles in this piece that actually help form the capture to hold the rest of this particular component. So again, triangles, and also I have a triangle double clasp at the back here. So one single triangle with 2 little loops there that hold that clasp together. So just another way to use a triangle as a toggle. And it sits really nice on the back of the neck there because of the points going towards the back and the flat surface at the top. So that's another way I've used a triangle. Something else I sort of found there in the back of my bead cupboard is these triangle shaped puffy beads. And this was a piece out of, I think it's a Diane Fitzgerald book. So again, just a simple peyote puffy triangle that has now created, sort of 5 components to make a beaded necklace. So again, triangles out of beads. I've also got here my Christmas cuff bracelet. Now, I've shown this before, but the little trees that are here are actually using triangle-shaped beads. So again, another use of a little bit of feature and dimension by using the triangles in that project. I have another piece that I designed a couple of years ago, again with a toggle that's a triangle shape. So this one I replicated the triangle shield shape that was at the base of this particular project and then brought it right through to the toggle piece as well. So the use of triangles is a repeating theme in that particular piece. I've also got a couple here that showcase triangular prismatic right angle weave. So it's 3 words in it, but what it is, it's a 3-sided right angle weave piece. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm actually going to demonstrate this piece, like how to actually do that stitch later today. That one's called Ode to Joy, and it's a Beads Gone Wild one, which I did several years ago now, but it's got that beautiful little fringe with the tri right angle weave in it. And I also have another piece here where I've used triangular right angle weave to capture these glass cabochons as well. So again, just using this stitch to form channels to then put some components in the center of again. And last but not least, another use of a triangle bead, and this is using the Voxolo beads, which are a triangle shape. So these are a long form triangle with a shorter base one side, but 2 long sides. But again, a triangle bead in a component. So that one's from a design on the fly I did last year if you want to see how that one actually came together. So there's just some of the triangle ideas that I have. Now what I thought I'd show you is some of the variations in different types of triangle beads. And what I've done, I feel a little bit like a chef showing different things, but this is all the sorts of triangle beads I actually had in my bead stash. So this one here is called a Tango bead, and this one has a long side with 2 holes going straight, 2 holes on one short side, and no holes on the third side. So that makes it a different angle when you actually put those triangle beads together. So that's the Tango bead. This one here, the Voxolo bead, has 2 holes straight through. It has the shorter side. It's the one I showed a little bit just before on that pendant necklace. And it also has a little slightly domed top as well. So that's the Voxolo. This one here is just a straight 2-hole triangle bead. I've got a tutorial that I have on my Etsy site that uses this, and it's called Triangle Beads Earring, I think, but they actually form like little spikes when you use the 2 holes in those one. This is a 3-hole triangle bead. So again, another variation of a triangle but with 3 holes. I've got several colours of these ones, but I would find that this would be something I'd possibly use in a bead embroidery phase more than anything. I've also got some standard petal beads, again, a triangle shape and just with a single hole. So beautiful fringing on pieces, great for bead embroidery, embellishment, etc. I've got what's called a tri bead. So these are little tiny 4mm beads with 1 single hole in them. Again, a great bead embroidery piece for these ones. So that's a tri bead. I also had these beads, Trinity beads. So 3 holes. Not sure how I'm going to ever use these. I think I bought these in America a few years ago. But Trinity, again, triangle bead with 3 holes. I have a couple of the Swarovski vintage crystals in triangle in the blue here. Not used these yet. I think they're too pretty to really think about using. They're so shiny and sparkly, but a beautiful sharp triangle shape here. And then Linda from Banjo sent me some Trilliant beads to have a try with. So these are a triangle crystal bead, and I've got a little bit of a design with these I'm playing with that I'll show you later on this morning as well. So that's some of the variations of triangle beads, and like me, I'm sure you've got some somewhere in your stash that you would be able to utilize as well. And I was really surprised at the different number of triangle beads that I actually had. Okay, so while I just grab out a couple of little projects that we're going to share today, I thought I'd showcase some of the other ways that I've used triangles. Now, one of those is the Cynthia Rutledge beaded box that I did a few years ago, which is all triangle shapes. There's also the little project we're going to have a look at today. So using metallic triangles, I'm going to demonstrate these earrings. I'm also going to demonstrate the new designs that I've come up with. I showed you that little one just before of the El Deco pendant. And I've also got another one with the triangles here in the center. So lots of different ways that I've used triangles in the past and some new fun ways that I'm going to share with you now. Okay, so let's flip over to work. So what I've actually got here for you is a demonstration of some of these newer triangle beads here. So this one here is the Tango bead, and I'm going to show how I've used the Tango bead in this little very simple windmill project. Really wasn't a tricky one other than threading the beads to actually get that formation. So that's, I think it looks like a windmill, those particular ones. I'm also going to show you this one here, which I've done either one with a drop or one without. So that's using the Kheops triangle beads as well. And again, a little tricky in terms of the whole formation of how you actually want to pull those together to sit together. So let me get my glasses on and I will show you how we're going to play around with these beads. Okay, so let's start with the Tango beads here. So I've got here 8 of the Tango beads, and I grabbed a couple of these in different colours, but I will, go with my standard sort of pink colour that I love to use. I'm actually just going to use some fireline to make this particular little component, and I played around with this the other night, so I've not written down any notes or anything of what I did. So let's hope that I can remember how to actually make these. But I thought it was really interesting because of the hole placement on these particular beads, trying to get them to sit in a cohesive way. Not so much tricky, but I had to really think about the placement of how I was going to thread those beads on. So what I decided to do was alternate them with a size 11 bead. So I've got some size 11 beads here, and I threaded them all in the same direction to start with. And I threaded them through the short side of the bead here. So you can see here what I've got called the long side, which has got the longer expanse, and then the short side. And I just threaded all of these through that short side hole. So that was one way for me to remember how to actually put those on the needle, which was, as I said, the trickier part. My initial thought was to try and get them all to go in a circle, but as soon as I pulled it tight, it flipped into that really nice windmill shape. So I went along with that. So I kept going with the just threading a single size 11 bead and then the Tango bead through the short hole. And remember, one side has no holes on it, so you've just got to look and see where that placement needs to go. And I'm threading on 8 of the Tango beads and 8 size 11 beads. And I'm just going to draw that into a ring and tie that into a knot. And so this was my initial thought, that I was going to do some sort of circle, but as soon as I sort of pulled it into place, they flipped into this nice windmill shape, with the other beads, the centre beads, just sort of pushing their way in to the middle like that. So if I flip those, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Maybe I went through the long hole, not the short hole. Hang on, let me have a look. Yep, I definitely went through the short hole. Okay, I'll flip that in as well. 1, 2, 3. Oh, so the secret is not to pull it too tight, because once you start pulling it too tight, it loses the formation of them. But when I pull that just gently, it's sort of created that windmill shape. Now, to hold that in place, what I'm going to do is go through those centre holes there and adding that size 8 bead in the middle. So I'm just going to bring my needle find my way through. I want to come out of one of those long holes here. So I'm just going to come out of a long hole there, long side. I'm going to grab a size 8 bead and pop that through there, through that. Is that what I've done? No, I reckon I've actually gone, as I said, I didn't write the notes down for this. I think I went through the long side, not the short side. Let me just restart that. As always, you know, when I do these things, there is a little bit of trial and error at times. So let's start that again. I'll pick up a size 11 bead and I'm going to go through the long hole, not the short hole. We'll see if that does it this time. Through the long hole. I don't know. I'll keep thinking. Either one way or the other is going to be correct, isn't it? And it wasn't working as well with the short hole, so maybe it was the long hole. Maybe. Yeah, maybe it was. Okay, so I've now got 5 on, 6, You know what? I reckon I actually flipped the side. Gosh, well done, Paula. Start again. Okay. Flip on that short. No, do long hole that way. Short hole that way. Long hole. Oh, I know what I did. I actually changed the direction. See, like that. Like that. Audio is muffled. Okay, is that better? Let me just tell me whether that's better, peeps, if the audio's still muffled. No? Hopefully that's a bit better. Let me know. I've just flipped the microphone around, so hopefully that's a bit better. better. Terrific. Thank you. Okay, so let's try it like that and see where that's the go. I think that might have been what I did. I did this late at night the other night, and when I was sort of thinking about what to demonstrate, and it worked so perfectly the first time, I should have written it down, which I didn't do. But anyway, it's all the fun of trial and error with this stuff at times. Okay, so now I've got them all in different directions. So you can see here they all sort of face one another as triangles. Let's try and see whether those triangles can tie into a nice little ring, which I think they will. And then they sort of flipped into this windmill shape. Look at that. Almost perfect first time. So I'm just going to tie a knot there. I'm not going to tie it too tight because I want to make sure I've still got a bit of maneuverability in here. Yep, that's what worked. So then those beads, if I look at my piece here, yep, I'm going to come through that hole on the long hole on that side. Does it look like that? Gosh, I can't believe this flipping around one way or the other. It's really interesting. The holes in the placement of some of these triangle beads can be slightly tricky to work out where to go next. And I mean, that's obviously what I'm experiencing right now. So if I place that like that, that looks correct, doesn't it? So if I bring that one in there, that looks correct. Yep. I'm just going to loosen that ring so that they move a little bit better. Place that one in there. That looks correct. And that one in there. That looks correct. This is often the fun of, you know, designing things, is literally trial and error. Hopefully writing notes down as you go, Paula. But I think that's what I've done. Okay, so if I now bring my needle through here, I promise you the other ones I practice those a little bit more, so they'll be hopefully slightly easier. And what I will do, if I can't actually remember to do how I did this easily in the next few minutes, I am going to move over to the other project and I will practice this and I will write it up so that people can actually see what to do properly with these tricky little triangle beads. So this is the Tango bead that I'm playing with. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get that exactly right, because see how I've got the small end of the triangle here, which is where the size 8s are going through, but I'm sort of going through the long end here. So again, I'm just going to undo that. So I apologise that it's not coming together as quickly as what it did for me, literally in an instant the other night. But let's see whether that's what the issue is. Either way, these look lovely when you actually sort of pull them into that circular shape, which is what I was initially trying to do. But the Tango beads with the 2 holes and one side has no holes really just makes it a little bit tricky to think about where the placement of those is. I'm going to give this one more go and then I'm going to be frustrated with it. I'm going to put it aside, I think. So I do apologise. My first live of the year and I've not remembered how I've actually done something. So if that's a long hole. Yeah, I don't reckon that's it. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. I'm going to come back. Okay. Very frustrated with myself with that one. Might end up with a pendant at this rate. Okay, let's just move those out of the way and move on to the Kheops beads, which is the other design that I did. So this one here has Kheops, and they come in lots of different colours. And a Kheops bead has holes again on the 3 sides, but it has 2 holes on one side and 1 hole on each of the other sides. So when you thread your needle through, you're going straight up and down with this one, okay? So that's what a Kheops bead actually looks like. And when I did these little earrings, I did the circular 6 different beads, so 3 different colours in the centre, some size 11 beads in a herringbone style and a little bit of crystal embellishment. So I'll show you those ones. And the blue colour doesn't have a drop on it and the brown colour does. Just a different way of actually finishing it. So let's make the brown one, seeing as how I've got a brown skirt on today, so that'll go with this. So what I've done with these ones is, because the way that the hole goes straight up and down like that, I've started by going straight up through to what I'm calling an outside edge. It'd be good if I put some thread on that, wouldn't it? That would help. And the other thing I did do with these was I used 1G and not fire line as well. I sort of found there's just a little bit more stretch with using the 1G with this, and I've just got to find my brown one. It just sort of stretched really nicely with this particular project. So that would be my suggestion for this, is to look at using a 1G thread or, you know, a Nymo if that's what you like, so that you've got a little bit more stretch with this particular one. So let me just grab some thread out. There's my brown thread right next to me. And, you know, I mean, I sort of interchange fire line and thread wherever I feel that something different is needed. And the first one I did with fire line, and the second one I did with 1G, and I did prefer that. So just put a bit of stretch on that thread. Again, now this time I'll pick up some beads. So I'm going to go straight up through that Kheops hole. So I'm coming out through one of those two holes that are on the top there. And then what I've done is I've just picked up 4 size 11 beads, because what I'm doing is creating the herringbone little spike start by adding those 4 beads on right now. So they'll form this little column just here on the outside of the bead. Now, because the Kheops beads go in different directions, what I want to do now is pick up the next bead. And I still want to make sure that I've got the holes pointing to the outside. So I'm going to go through the bead that way, pick up my 4 size 11 beads, and then come down through the outside hole, just like that. So they'll sort of sit next to each other. They won't form that really tight ring just yet, and it'll flip around a little bit like it's just about to when I hold a bit of tension on it. But eventually what it'll do is they'll sit and make that nice little pie shape. So again, I'm going to pick up my next Kheops bead, and I want to have the holes going to the outside, the 2 hole. So I'm going to come down through the Kheops bead like that, pick up 4 size 11 beads, and come back up through. Pull that along. So again, you can see now I've got the 3 little pieces of pie in a sort of circle. Pick up again my Kheops, going down through the hole that way, so that I've got, nope, that one's wrong. I went the wrong way. Again, triangle beads, a little bit tricky sometimes working out which direction that you're going to go with. So if you're using one of these triangle beads with, you know, 2 holes on one side and 1 on another, etc., just watch your placement of how they're going to actually connect and join together. And there's lots of different patterns, you know, on Pinterest and Etsy and those sort of places, and of the use of these different beads. And this was just my interpretation of how to create really, you know, nice little components from using the Kheops triangle beads. Okay, so there's 5. And because of the angle of the triangle, 6 beads will be what works really well with this. If you wanted to make a bigger shape, you'd have to do a bit of placement in between the Kheops beads to get that larger sort of diameter for a circle. So for this one, 6 works well and creates that nice little pie segment. So what I've got there is my little strip. It's a little loose at the moment, but that's okay. It will tighten up. But what I want to do now is go opposite to the first Kheops bead that I added. So up through that hole and then straight up through those first 2 size 11s that I added here. And when I sort of pull that tight, look at that. It's made that really nice pie shape with some great starters for some herringbone. So to do the herringbone, I'm going to pick up 2 size 11 beads. I'm going to come back through 2 beads, and to reinforce and secure this, I'm actually going to go right through the Kheops bead again, like that. Then back up through the Kheops and the 2 size 11. So what I'm doing is actually making that join of the Kheops in that center a little bit firmer each time. So just making my little herringbone starts there on those columns. So it is a matter of, I've already got the herringbone start in place by the placement of those beads on the outside of the Kheops bead. And I'm probably saying Kheops wrong, and I apologise to any of my Greek friends out there. Alex, you can probably correct me if I'm pronouncing Kheops wrong, but I have gone phonetically with it. It could be another way of actually saying that. I don't know. So if there is, please tell me if I'm saying Kheops completely incorrectly. Okay, so I'm going to continue on doing my little herringbones around the outside with this and reinforcing that center by going all the way through the Kheops, up through the 2 beads and adding another little herringbone piece on the outside. Now, while I'm actually doing this, I'm going to just show you my little bead sorter. Now, some of you have already got one of these, which is fantastic, and thank you so much for that purchase. This is a new design that my brother Brian helped me with. So you've heard me talk about Brian and technical things he helps me with. Well, this is one of the things. So we've designed this bead sorter, which is a 5-piece set. It has 6 different colours in there, and the green colour will be coming out very soon. It has a lid, so when you shake your beads, the things stay in place. Has some labels on this outside, so you know which beads are going into which little dish. And most importantly, it has a little pouring spout at the bottom, so when you want to get your beads back in your tube, they're really easy to get back in. So if anyone is interested, you can order them by scanning on the QR code that is just there, or send me a message. I can bring some to the Bead Society tomorrow if people are interested. Just let me know and I can do that for you. But the bead sorter is a great little tool when you've got lots of beads on your mat and you want to tidy them up. You can just get your bead sorter to do that for you. Okay, I'll flip back over to here. So you can see here, I've now done my herringbone spikes on each of those outside of the Kheops. Thank you, Penny. I'm correct. Good. And I'm bringing my needle back out through the very first column there, so through that set of 3 beads. So what I'm going to do now is just add 2 more Kheops on the top here. And I'm going to come through the second bead there on my little column. And then what I want to add is a size 15 bead and a little 3mm bicone. So I pick up a size 15 bead, 3mm bicone and a size 15. And I'm going to come back up through the second beads just here on my next herringbone spike, like that. So my little bicone now sits in that section just there. And then I'm going to pick up 2 more size 11 beads, do another herringbone here, go back across to the next, come out through the second and just repeat that across. So what I'm doing now is I'm also reinforcing that column because we're now having another thread path go through that column. I'm extending the columns by adding another bead, and we'll do one more final decoration on those. And also adding just a little tiny bit of sparkle with the 3mm bicone just in that gap. And I'd imagine any 3mm size bead will work. You've just got to work out if it's a 3mm fire polish, it might be slightly longer. You might need the size 15s, but I just tried with bicones and it works really well. So just get the needle to cooperate and go into the second bead just there. I think those two might be joined. That might be why it's not cooperating. Oh, there it is, just popped out. There it goes into there. So you can see now I've got 3 of those added. So I'll keep adding the the 3mm and the, oh sorry, 2 size 11s first over here. So through 2 beads like that, and 2 size 11s. Sorry, 15 and a bicone and a 15. And eventually I'll just remove that tail thread. I've sort of gone through that center several times, so I don't have to reinforce that. They've been attached several times in there because we reinforced by going back through all the keyhopes when we're doing the initial, this first round of herringbone. Okay, so now I've got my last of the little bicone decoration through there. Second last, one more to, oh gosh, what am I doing? That's not what goes there. Ignore that, I forgot to do my herringbone. Herringbone first, like that. And then the 15 bicone and 15. And then just straight up through. So to finish off those little herringbone columns and to put some structure around the bicone, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick up a size 15 and just come back through 2 beads on the column. So my little 15 just sits at the point of the herringbone here. Then I'm going to get an alternate colour size 11 bead. I'm going to go through the crystal like that and then pick up another size 11 bead and then come up through 2. So what that's doing there, it's, you know, I'm using 1G, remember, so it's actually giving a little bit more strength to the thread path through the crystal as well, and it's giving me an anchor point now that I can then add a final row of size 15 beads over the top of the bicones. So I'm sort of finishing off the decorative elements, but it gives that extra layer of security by going through that crystals particularly one more time. I mean, if anything's going to cut our threads, it usually is a bicone or something like that with a bit of a sharp edge on it. So I'm also not pulling super tight with the 1G thread particularly when I'm doing a pastoral crystal, because the last thing you want is for it to break the thread, and I shouldn't speak too soon because that could happen if I'm not careful. So I just keep going through, back up to the next little column there, add a size 15, down through 2, pick up another size 11, through the crystal, size 11, and through my column. Pick up another. I was thinking of you, Penny, with this and how this design could adapt to be a clip-on, and I think you could probably stitch something on the back there to make this a clip-on. You could also potentially make this a stud earring as well by putting a stud finding through it. I'll have a play around with what that might look like. So I think there's some different options in the way that you could make this a finished earring as well. Particularly when there's like a slight hole in the center, there's always ways that you can either build a back for a stud, put a stud finding directly through the hole. So lots of ways to think about how to embellish that even further. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is just add my little bridge of size 15s over the top here. So I'm going to bring my thread all the way through again, come out of the size 11 bead, the alternate color one that I popped on there, pick up 4 size 15 beads and then go through again, the size 11 all the way through. Now, to save time and thread and all that sort of stuff, these particular points here is where I'm going to add my drop bead and my hook for adding my earring finding. So I'm going to do that before I finish adding on the rest of the 4 15s, just so that I'm not wasting my thread by repeating around and around. So what I've got here is a little pearl drop. I've come out of the size 15 bead. I've just picked up 2 size 15s, and I'm just going to go through that pearl, grab a little gold size 11 and another size 15. And this is just about being efficient in terms of how I'm finishing off this piece. Again, pick up another 2 size 15 beads and then go back through that size 15 again and all the way back through to that alternate 11 that I want to come out of for the 4 15s. And when I just sort of pull that tight, my drop is in place now, finished already. So it just sort of saves me coming back and adding that at another point. I'm using the same thread path to do that all in one sitting. So there you go, it's just sort of hanging. It'll tighten up as we keep going on with our beading. So now pick up 4 15s, again go all the way through like that, up, reinforcing again by coming all the way down. And I remember I'm going to do a little loop at the other side to hang my earring finding from. So I'll do that on the opposite peak of that column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the way through. Like that. Come on, cooperate. And this is the one that I'll add the loop onto next. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over the top there. And a little loop, you know, 7, 8 beads maybe. I think I probably did. Yep. So just pick up 7 size 15 beads. 7. And then just go through that size 15 again and create a loop. And just to secure that again, I will go through all of those beads 1 or 2 more times, because that's the point of your earring that has the most pressure on it, is where your earring finding is connected, and it's, you know, where we pull on it to take it in and out of our ears, etc. So that's the point that I like to try and do a little bit more reinforcement around that ring, so that when the earring finding goes on there, it's a little bit more secure. So I've just been through that 3 times now. And now I'm going to bring my needle all the way back down through to that alternate colour 11 bead and continue on with the last of my 4 15s. Like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. And through that alternate colour there, and 1 more little section, so go all the way up. So any suggestions for a name for these earrings? I'm happy to take suggestions if people have got ideas of what that could be called. And I'll give you a measurement in a sec, Penny. Let me just get to finishing that. We'll get the ruler out and we'll actually measure it. So look at that, really simple little earring. I think a great project for a beginner. Terrific component. You know, I love component beading, that you can use the components and build something else. So something like this, you could make it without the drop or without the earring finding on it and turn that into, you know, multiple things for a pendant or bracelet or something along those lines. Just going to cut off that tail thread. I did a couple of little stitches to hold the working thread in place. And you can see there, when I just make that hole nice and round with my awl, I now have a lovely little pair of drop earrings with the pearl on them, the Kheops beads in the centre. So really great use of the triangle beads and the different colours in there that look really nice together. Now let me measure that for you, Penny. I shall grab my handy ruler. And across, it's just under 2.5 centimetres across. So if that's too big for a Clip-on, no, probably not. I think that it would be okay for a clip-on, but I definitely think you've got a lot of room that you could stitch something into the back of those because of the different seed beads, etc., that are in place. So that's one of the designs that I wanted to show you today. I'm really happy with how that one came about. The second one, we might go back to that if I feel adventurous, but I'm just going to put the one beautiful windmill earring there and maybe come up with a second one later. Let's see how I feel about that. And I'm also going to show you some of the upcoming Facebook Live sessions that I have coming for. Let's flip back over to the work scene. So what I'm going to show you now is the use of a metallic component in a metallic triangle. Now, I made a pair of these earrings in a brick stitch session a couple of years ago, and I loved them. I wore them regularly, and then I lost one. You know, I didn't put the little keeper thing in the back of it, which I should have done. So I thought today I will just revisit those and make that again. And I showed a demonstration of what these look like. But when you're looking at, you know, a component or a form to actually bead over, some of these little metallic shapes are fantastic to actually just have as part of your feature. So I thought I'd grab these little triangles and do a little brick stitch piece with some drop beads on that as well. So this is just a little bit of fire line that I've put on here. I've just grabbed out 5 different colours of delicas here on my board, a couple of little drops that are here as well. And I'm just going to start with any side. This is I think, is it called an equilateral triangle? I don't know. Someone who's a maths teacher tell me what the right name is, but they're triangle sides that are all the same size. So the angle is all the same in each of the corners. So I'm just going to tie my fire line onto that little frame and tie a knot in it just so that it's secure. And I'm just going to start a really simple brick stitch line across the base here. Now, because I've got a triangle top here, what I want to end up with is an equal sized triangle of beads. So let's go with that. I'll start with pink, why not? So for brick stitch, I'm just picking up 2 beads. I'm going through my little frame. Now I'm holding that really firmly, the frame against my finger, because what I don't want to do is have it sort of fly off. I want to sort of keep it so that the beads are sitting on the outside of that frame. So I'll keep moving along and adding just 1 delica. I started off with 2, which is traditional in brick stitch. Just slide it along so that it sits on the frame like that. And keep going with adding 1 bead at a time on this little frame. So again, what I'm beading now is I'm creating a triangle that is going to match the triangle shape. And brick stitch works particularly well for making triangles because you are reducing your bead row by 1 bead at a time, and it just naturally forms a really nice sided angle triangle. I've just designed a pair of earrings for the Creative Crafters magazine coming out in July with a pair of triangle brick stitch earrings in that. So it's a really great way to make a shape and naturally turn it into a triangle simply by just reducing a bead at a time. So I've got, how many have I got on there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And I really just want to have it the width of this triangle frame. So I'm just going to keep on going with that. So tell me in the comments, are other people beading along as they're watching me do this Facebook Live? If you've got a chance, share either a pic in the comments or tell me about what your day looks like today. What sort of beading are you getting up to, if you're beading, or if you're doing something other fun like volunteering somewhere or watching kids sport. What are some of the other things that people are doing today as well? It's a nice day here in Melbourne today. It's not too hot, which is lovely. And I plan on spending most of my day here in my studio doing some little bit more work on some workshop things and other bits and pieces that I've got coming up. So it's a good day on a Saturday to spend some time doing some serious bead work. So I'd love to hear what other people are up to as well. If anyone's getting involved in the On a String first ever bead along, which is happening in a couple of weeks' time, thinking about what we're going to be doing there, which obviously is all triangles because we're making a kaleidocycle, and I've never made one. So this is a lesson for me too in how to make a kaleidocycle. So we'll be making 24 triangles in that session. Okay, so I've now got my first row, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 beads. So my next row will be 13 beads. And I'm now just going to go on to the next colour. And this is a really simple design. It's just different rows of colour. So when you pick up your first 2 beads of the next row, you go through the second thread bridge on your existing brick stitch row there and just pick up 2 beads, come back up through the first bead, the second bead added there, like that. And they look a little bit messy on that edge, but you can just sort of maneuver your needle, get them to straighten up and line up where you want them to be. So I'm just going to pull that tight, and you can see there I've now got the next 2 beads on my row here. So again, pick up the next bead and go through. Next. So this is a great way to make a triangle shape. I'm using delica beads here, which of course are all uniform in size and shape and fit beautifully together for brick stitch, as do you can use seed beads or hex beads and triangle beads as well. The Christmas tree cup I showed earlier is a peyote stitch with the triangle shaped beads, but delicas work particularly well for this type of stitch because of the lovely uniform nature of them and the way that they just click together, which is really nice as a beader. Very satisfying to see them form these lovely little neat rows. Okay, so nobody's beading today. Oh no, here is Katrina. What's Katrina up to? Chores. Yes, chores is not the fun part of a weekend, is it? But when you've got to do it, hopefully you've got them all done, Katrina, and you have some time for beading today as well. Right. And please, always, if you have any questions or want to hear about different things that I'm doing, by all means, you can send me a message and do that. I thought I'd also show you some of the new workshops that I've actually got coming up in the next little while as well. So these are workshops hosted by me from On a String, and there's 3 different ones. The zinnia layered pendant, which is the pendant style one in 3 different colorways. I've also got the Fortuna earrings, which is the round crystal earrings with the stud finish. And then the other workshop is 2 in 1. It's what I'm calling buckles and boho. So 2 different styles of earrings in that workshop. These are either on Zoom or in person. So if you're in Melbourne, you can do that as an in-person workshop with me in Preston at a community facility that I'll be teaching those at. Or you can take them if you're interstate or don't want to do Zoom. Don't want to do in person, you can do them on Zoom as well. And all workshop fees with me include everything: delivery of your kit, your choice of colours, your instructions, tutor-led workshops. So if you're interested, you can scan on the QR code there, or you can just send me a message and book into any of those workshops. I'd love to see you come along to those, whether they're in person or on Zoom. And there's some other fun stuff planned for other workshops later this year at a couple of different bead stores that I'll be doing as well. So look out for me. I'm traveling all over the place doing some beading workshops, and it's my fun thing I love to do is love to share and teach people beading, no matter what stage they're at or where they're located. So please have a look at those if you're actually interested in doing any workshops with me. Okay, let's come back to, I've started on the yellow row now of these. So these will take a little bit of time, but you'll see the gist of what I'm getting to in building that triangle shape. And as I said, I had a pair of these. I really liked them. I wore them quite a bit because they're nice and lightweight and really, you know, fun colours and easy to wear. And yeah, I lost one. So that's always disappointing when you lose one of your handmade pieces of jewellery. I went for a walk with my sister the other week and she'd had on a pair of earrings and she rang me panicked when she'd walked home that she'd lost one and could I check on my walk back to my house, and sure enough I found it on the ground. So that was lucky because they were a little tiny pair of deco studs that I'd made her, or deco drop earrings, and yeah, we were lucky to find those ones. So sometimes it does happen. We've got to be more careful with our beaded pieces. Okay, there's the third row done. So obviously with each row of the brick stitch, it's diminishing by one bead each time. So I'm forming my triangle shape, but it makes my beading go a little bit faster as well. So Alex is sorting buttons and cleaning them. Okay, so are these new buttons, Alex, that you've gotten from your button stash? And to see what you're actually going to be doing with them in terms of cleaning them and using them. And Jay, I can't wait to see you again at Banjos too. It's very exciting. I'm going up to Sydney in a couple of weeks, and I'm teaching a very special workshop at Banjos Bead House, which is going to be so fun to do in person at Banjos at Linda's new shop. So I managed to do two things at once because I have to go up for work, my other work. So I'm going to be sneaking off and doing a workshop in, you know, it's all approved, of course, because it's at night time, but I'm going to be doing a workshop with Linda and some of the crew up there at Banjos in Sydney in a couple of weeks, which will be really good fun. And of course, the first of my zinnia pendants is on next weekend in Preston. So looking forward to seeing you there too, Kath. It'll be great to see you again and see how your beading's been progressing since the bead retreat as well, and all the different things that you've been doing since then. Okay, I'm on my fourth row now of my brick stitch, which is cool. It's come along really quickly now. And my fifth colour is going to be the green colour. Now, I had 14 rows here. So 14, yeah, I'm going to end up with one colour less because I really should have done maybe 15 rows and then I have 5 colours of each, but I'll have to get over that. Now, one of the ways you can sort of tidy up that end, just pop your needle in, move those sort of end beads around, and at the very end of your piece here you can always run your thread along the side as well just to straighten those side edges. So now I'm just popping the little green delica bead on there as well. Again, just maneuver that edge bead to be in place, pull that sort of tight. Debbie, that's exactly right. You can always make another one if you lose an earring. It's so good. The fact that we as beaders make our own jewellery and we can repair it if we need to, because sometimes that does happen. We can replace something if we lose it. We can also repurpose things. You know, I look at some of the stuff that I made years and years ago. I probably would never wear again now. And there's some beautiful stones and crystals and pearls in there. Really, I should just get the scissors at them and take them apart and make something else in it. Maybe that could be a challenge we could have, how to repurpose things that you've actually got in your own stash that you may not know what to do with or what to finish. I think that'd be a fun session to have, how to repurpose things, remake, reuse, refix, whatever it might be. Because it's always curious to look back and see the evolution of your own beadwork, particularly when you design a lot, what your work looked like years ago to what it actually looks like now. And it does change over time, and your colour selections change too. When I first started beading, I used to do a lot of black and a lot of red beading, but I don't do very much of that anymore. Then I went through a really big brown stage too. I mean, that's sort of coming back a little bit. I suppose that's what's in fashion as well. But yeah, my colours have certainly changed over the years, in terms of what I use. I mean, I definitely lean into the pinks and rose golds and golds a lot, and that's my comfort zone. And I do have to stretch myself sometimes and do colours that I'm not as always familiar with or would necessarily wear. But it's a really good way to challenge yourself, is to use other colours that you're not always comfortable with, using it, not your first go. Yeah, so for me, definitely going into that the purple zone. I know some of you are purple lovers. I'm not really a purple lover, but to go into the purple zone for me is a bit of a challenge. Yellow is another one that's a little bit hard for me. Although I've just bought a couple of yellow pieces of clothing, which my children are astounded that I've actually gone to yellow, but I quite like it. So amazing how your taste changes over the years. Okay, so let me just flick over and show next. So there we go. I've got 6 rows done now. Next row is the little lilac-y colour one. So again, just pick up 2 beads at the very start and then go through 2 at the start and just tidy up that little first one there. Debbie, someone asked you to remake earrings. Had they worn them so much that they were worn out, or she just loved them so much she needed another pair? I've had that sort of request before as well. Usually it's from my mum. Can I make her something else because she's loved wearing something that I've made? So I'm always happy to remake or rejig something for somebody. It's a good challenge to try and do that. Repairs, sometimes I get asked to do repairs of other people's, costume type jewelry and stuff. It's not my favourite thing to do, and if I don't know how to, I definitely won't do it. But you do get asked, once somebody knows that you know how to make earrings or make jewelry and you've got beads and you've got some tools, it is something that I get asked. Not all the time, but I have quite a few times. How could I fix things for people? Which, if I can, I will. But I also don't want to take something that's very precious and special and then not be able to do it. Penny, I think you've hit the nail on the head for naming those earrings. Giza. The Giza earrings. I think that's perfect. Thank you, Penny. I love it when someone comes up with a name for something. Giza earrings. So what I will do is I'll actually write that one up as a tutorial in the next couple of days, and I will pop that into the Honest String VIP's Facebook group. So if you're a member of that, you'll be able to grab a free copy of that tutorial. It will take me a couple of days to do it, but I will pop that up there. And then you will also, of course, have this video to reference how to make those as well. And in the meantime, get on and get yourself some Kheops beads. There's loads and loads of different colours around. I did order some new ones to do this demonstration, and then when I looked, I already had about 6 different colours. So now I've got quite a few more. But yeah, the Kheops earrings are now going to be called the Giza earrings. Thank you, Penny. And I should have twigged that it was Egyptian, being pyramid shaped, but anyway. Lucky I've got a history teacher on board here to help me with that stuff, and geography teacher. So we're nearly getting to the end, and this is what's good about brick stitch. As I said, each row is another row closer to having this beaded triangle completed. So I'm just up to, I think I'm now down to 6 beads. So I started at 14, so that must mean that I've done 8 rows of this, and then I'm just going to put a little nice drop bead right at the very end. So if you've got yourself a triangle sort of metallic shape there, this is a great way to create a beaded component to sit on that. You can use those metallic shapes to do other different things like you know, rings are obviously easy to work with, much easier than some of the other shapes. But the metallic shapes, and that's some of those workshops that I showed there earlier, we're using teardrops in the boho style earrings, and the Fortuna earrings actually use a round metallic shape. So it is something I like to have as part of my beading repertoire, the use of forms and how to bead around them to actually make them into a contemporary piece of jewelry. So if you've got, you know, some metallic components in your beading stash, think about how to actually add beads to it so that the metal helps create the shape for you. And that's exactly what this triangle piece has done here, has become a really good foundation for these earrings. So I'm almost at the end here. I'm just adding 2 beads on now, like that, and then 1 bead. And when I add the 1 bead, I'm actually just going to go straight through the 2 beads there. I'm actually going to run my bead needle all the way up the side, because that helps tighten and straighten those side beads as well. So you can see when I pull that tight, that last bead is actually sitting with its hole facing either side like that, and it just tidies up that side of the beadwork. Now I'm just going to cut off my tail thread there. Okay, and I want to get over to the other side. So just to sort of secure that, I'm just going to sort of come through that thread bridge. I'll do a little loose knot here as well. I'm just going to run my needle all the way back down again through there so that I can add the drop at the bottom here. And then I'm going to come up here. Now I'm going to add this little teardrop shape, just like that. So I'll probably need a couple of 15s to put either side of that. Let me just grab out some 15s somewhere. You'd think they'd be right handy, given that I use them all the time, but I'll just have to get them out of my drawer. Silver. There we go. Some silver size 15s. And you might have noticed my little bead board that I've got here as well. I'll talk about those in a minute, but if you've been on these with me before, you would have heard me talk about some of the things I've been working on, and this new design of bead board is one of them, so I'll show that in a second as well. They're almost ready to launch. Okay, so I've just picked up 3 size 15 beads. I'm just going through this little drop bead, and then I'll pick up another 3 size 15 beads, and then go through that last delica bead that I added. So again, I've just formed a really nice little drop here. There. I'm just going to secure that by going through it again. Through again. And through again. And then I'm just going to run my needle all the way up the other side there of that triangle shape. Pull that nice and firm, and I've got a nice dangle there now, and a really cool earring, which with a little earring hook on it, which I'll grab that out and put that on. There is one complete. I'm just going to do a little knot there and finish off my thread here on the side. Get my thread burner. Knock that off. Okay. And let's grab out an earring finding. And there is a double triangle earring, because I have the earring beaded part of the earring there, and I also have the metallic frame triangle. So double triangles. I've just grabbed a little earring finding, simple as just popping one on and crimping it shut. Really, it's nothing much with those. Just sort of crimp that shut, and when I wear them, I will wear the little plastic loop at the back so that they stay in place. So really fun little earring. Let me just go to, I'll take this one out and show you what that looks like. So you can see there, Great little earring. Nice, fun summer double earring style. So thank you again, Anita, for this suggestion on triangles. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's go back and have a look now again at what the next thing that I wanted to show you today is. So I wanted to actually show you how to do a triangle weave rope. So it's a right angle weave, but it's triangle focused. So what I've actually got here is some just size 11 beads. And what I'm doing is this particular stitch here, which is a 3-sided right angle weave. So you can see one side here, and one side here, and that's the 3 sides. Maybe I might, or if I could think about to do it in 3 different colors, maybe I could try that. Let's see. So I've got some green there. And what other color have I got here? Of course, I've got some pink. So let's try that. At least they're nice and bright together. Okay, I'll just pop out a little bit of each of those beads and let's see how that looks together and try and do that as a 3-colored rope. Okay, there's my 3 colors. Now I'm just going to grab some fire line on my needle here. I'm not really concerned about how much I'm putting on at the moment because this is just to sort of demonstrate. I'm not sure that I love these 3 colors together, but they will hopefully highlight the ways that this triangle right angle weave works. Okay, so what you do is you pick up 4 beads to start with. So, sorry, 3 beads to start with. So your 3 beads are the base of your rope. So I'm just going to tie those into a loop, go through all of them again, and then back through the very first one added. Okay, so that's my base there. Now I want to do my sides. So let's think about the color selection. I've no idea whether this is going to work, but we'll see. So if I pick up 1 green, 1 brown and 1 green, that might work. And then I'll go through the very first bead added like that. I'm going to come back through the pink bead here. I'm going to pick up 1 green and 1 brown. And then my 4th is the green bead that I'd added previously. I'm going to go back through that and back through the pink bead. And then I'm going to come across through the pink bead here and through the green one. Pick up 1 brown. And then go through the green and pink and green again. Now it looks a little bit messy just at the moment, but when I pull that nice and tight, you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3 beads here. I've got the 3 green on the outside and I've got the 3 pink at the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to bring my needle to come back up through the green and through the brown, like that. So this time I'm going to do green, pink and green. And I'm going to go through the brown bead there like that. And then I'm going to come back through the brown next bead that's just there. You can see I'm also sort of holding this fairly firmly. I've got the tail wrapped around my finger. I'm trying not to let go of the piece so that I don't lose my place. So I've just picked up a pink and a green bead, and I think I needed to pick up a green and then a pink because I want the pink to be on top. Okay, go through that like that. Come back through the brown bead at the bottom there and then back up through the green that way. Pick up 1 pink bead and go through the green and through the brown. So again, you can see now I've now got, again, my 3 beads at the top, my 3 beads that the holes are coming through, and three sides. So it's actually working. Fantastic. So again, I'm going to pick up, I'm going to start at a pink bead. And I really like this. It's a really nice, subtle sort of rope. You definitely don't need to fill in the sides of it if you don't want to. It really is a nice fluidy sort of rope to use. and it also forms a great way to actually capture something. So maybe we might do that with it, with this little piece. So again, you can see I've picked up my 3 beads first, so green, brown and green. I'm going through the pink, come back through the pink bead like that, pick up a green and a brown, go back through the green and pink. So again, I'm going through 4 beads. So there's the cubic element of this, back through the pink. And the more you do it, the easier and quicker this actually becomes. And it's a really nice little stitch to do. So a triangular right angle, cubic right angle weave, as I said, ridiculous with 4 names of what it actually is. And there's probably a proper name. I think maybe it's called prismatic. Is that right? And Katrina might be able to help me out with that. Is prismatic the right name for it, not cubic ridiculous that I've just called it? Okay, so green, pink and green. So what's happening is I've actually now got a really nice pattern forming, which every row is a different colour. So they're either pink, they're green or they're brown. And the 3 colours are coming together really nicely. I'm going to do this little strip, maybe about 30 units long, and then I'll find a pearl or something and we'll pop that in and see how that actually looks. So look at that nice little triangular piece there. Really cool little prismatic right angle weave. Prismatic right angle weave, thank you. Yes, I think that sounds a lot better than triangular right angle weave cubic or whatever I was trying to call it, Katrina. Thank you. Prismatic. So I have done this sort of stitch before too with 5 and 6 beads as well, but I really like this sort of 3 bead component of it. I think it's a nice little rope. You want to do a lovely beaded rope, but a great way to capture a cab too. Brown. You could, if I really thought about how to do this with the colours, you could probably do, one side one colour, one side another, do 3 different colours that way. But I'll have to think about how to actually do that. I'm not in the headspace to think what that might look like just yet, but this style looks good too. So 3 colours, easy way to sort of see where your next bead goes as well, because you're looking for a different colour every time. And there, I think I just mucked that up. Yes, look. Okay, see, too busy talking. So you can see what I've done here. I'm going to undo this because see how I've got the green going this way and the brown and pink alternating. I've just flipped that and I've put the pink to be going the same way as the green. So I'm just going to undo that row. Again, the beauty of, doing your own thing here is that you can undo and restart. So I will get back to where I was. Not too much of a drama. I'm glad I noticed it now, not 10 times down the tube that I'm doing. Sorry, I just had to take a drink. Okay, so has anybody tried this prismatic right angle weave before, particularly with a 3 bead format, to make a triangular rope or capture? If we go back to our theme of triangles, has anyone done this sort of a beaded finish before, or beaded technique? Because it is a fun one to do. You can also intersperse, little bicones or something like that in this as well. And it's a great way to, create a little nest for our beads to actually sit in with that cabochon. And that's what I've done on a couple of those projects that I showed earlier, was using this sort of stitch to make little cabochon nests to put things into. And a Sabine Lippert design, Katrina. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, she's certainly one of the proponents of this stitch. I know we did a class many years ago with Bianca Valda that was all prismatic right angle weave, and that was great fun. One of my favourite classes that I ever did with Bianca. It's called the Desert Drums necklace, and that has about a 5 and 6 bead, a 6 bead prismatic stitch in it, and it's beautiful. So really nice stitch if you're nervous about crawl, and some people can be nervous about crawl. This is an easier way to actually do the crawl than the 4-sided, because you literally pick up 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. You know, every single row is the same. It's 3, 2, 1. So it's not hard to remember where you're up to when you're actually doing this particular stitch. So just remember 3, 2, 1 every time, and it's easy then to see where you need to be. But I'll need this to be able to go into a circle. So, and it's really cool. Look, when you sort of join it like that together, the colours look really nice. They actually do look nice together. Anita, I agree. They actually do look good. And this would look great with a little SS39 stud, you know, really nice little finish with something like that, with this triangular prismatic right angle weave. Get the name right, Paula. Okay. So just keep going with my green first, then pink, then green. As I said, I probably need to get this to about 30 units so that I can join them together. And the trickiest part of joining them is to not twist it. So to make sure that all your, particularly when I'm doing all different colours like this, will make it a bit easier to see, but to make sure that your colours are lining up and you're not twisting your rope when you're turning it into a nest, because if you twist it, whoops, something just fell off my tray. If you twist it, it won't line up and won't hold your cab in place. So you've got to be mindful to not twist your little rope. Oh, one this time. Green first. Amazing how you still, you know, I've got to still remind myself which is the first colour to pick up. So green, pink, green, green first all the time. And once again, I apologise about my windmill earrings. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to have to go back and rethink how I actually got them to turn exactly how they did the first time, and wouldn't cooperate the second time. And I'm hesitant to undo it, but I'm sure if I actually sit and concentrate, I'll work out, and I will share that at a later point when I've actually worked that out properly. I'm sure it'll be fine. It just take me a little bit of time to think about concentrating on which goes where. So look at that nice little rope there with the brown, the green and the pink all together. And is it big enough to, maybe. So I'm just going to grab out a cab to put in the center there. And I want about a 14 mil pearl cab. We've got some nice little bronze ones here. Yep, that'll do. So that little bronze cab, so you can see now how many more I've got to do. So I've got a little bit more work to do to get all the way around there. So let's keep going with that. So what I want to have is a nice little edge that's going to sit around this cab. And because it's got 3 sides, see that green row that's right in the center there? That will sort of sit as a foundation. That's what I'm thinking anyway. That's how it will actually work. Let's hope I'm right when I get to that point, but I'm sure it'll be okay. Okay, so, oh gosh, I nearly started beading on the tail end then. All right, back to this end here. So green, pink, green. Now, obviously, the bigger the cab or the bigger the piece that you're trying to capture, the bigger your little rope will need to be as well. So that's a little 14 mil glass pearl cab that I have there. I think they're from Cranberry I've bought those sort of pearl cabs from, and they're great for in use of a range of different ways in beading projects. So they come in about 6 different colours, and yeah, I've used them in lots of different things. I think my Nestle earrings use them. Yeah, another design I have that I'm teaching a couple of different places later this year is using them as well. So they're a great little bead to have in your stash. I'm going to have to add a little bit more thread because, you know, I was so careless of how much thread I added to start with. But let's see if I'm nearly there. I'm not too far off. Now, if I'm being really, you know, really thinking about this, having an even number is probably better of units. So let's just count those as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep, definitely do one. Oh, so if I join it, that makes 16. Because I just sort of find that an even number when you're doing any sort of capture or anything like that, it's an even number is just better. You know, if I wanted to do some peyote off it, all that sort of stuff, I'll do an even number. So let's just do one more row with the joining the, what's that going to be, green. So I now have to line up my rows. So if I hold that sort of straight like that, I can see which bead at this end here on my left hand that I need to join into. And it's actually that bead there that I need to join into. So I'm going to pick up one green bead. I'm coming out of a brown bead underneath. So I'm going underneath into the pink bead at this end like that. And then I've got to be just careful not to twist it. And not to twist it in a way that, yep, that's right. See how they're, it's probably a little bit hard to see, but they're all sitting sort of flat and together. Now I want to come up on the other side here because I have to add 3 green beads here to finish off that row. So I'm coming out of a pink bead and I'm just going to go back through the brown bead on the other side there. And just hold that in place like that. I'm just going to push my needle through, just through that hole so I can sort of see where I need to do that next join. Okay, so I'm going to join the next pink and brown beads together. So I'm going to come up through the next brown bead here, pick up a green bead and go through a pink bead. So there's the second one added. Now you can see here, there's the final gap that I have, that I need to add one more green bead. So again, I'm just going to thread and come up through a pink bead here, pick up one green one, and then go back through a brown one. So I now have my completed rows of green and pink and brown all together. You can see that nice ring that's now in the center. Just hold that right up to the camera so that you can see that. So see the green beads in the center? They're all perfectly aligned to make a really nice base to sit something in. And I'm fingers crossed that that 14mm cab is going to fit in there. I'm sure it will. But that's just going to sit, yeah, look at that, sit just nicely on those beads there. So I'm going to add some more thread onto that so that I can continue on, because this could turn into a stud earring, drop earring component, lots of different ways you can use this type of thing. Like I showed in that necklace before, this one here has the glass pieces that are all in the middle, and they've got all triangle triangle right angle weave around the outside to hold them in place. I know on the larger one that I did, I actually put a strap on the back to hold it because it did twist a little bit, but that's just some of the ways that you adapt it. Now I'm just going to join my thread here. So for those of you who haven't seen how to join thread, I'm going to use my cigarette lighter to actually do that. I'm just going to cut off that little bit of thread there off my needle. Where's my awl? Just to clean that off. And I find that using a lighter, I find to be the most effective. I know other people can use thread burners and stuff, but yeah, I do find a lighter to be really effective. Just trying to get that little bit out of the needle head eye there. Okay, so the way I like to join my threads, I like to get it as close to my work as I can, so that it means, I'll just hold it so you can see the thread. If I join it as close to my work as I can, it means that the knot doesn't have to travel through too many beads. So the first thing I do is just make a loop in my new thread that I'm adding, and I pop that over the tail of my working thread just there. I'm going to draw that knot right down close to the beadwork, so the knot is all the way down there. I'm then going to get my little clippers here, and I'm going to give these two threads a nice clean haircut, just like that. I've got two nice really clean edges to join those two. Then I'm just going to grab out my cigarette lighter and gently melt those two ends together, and then just draw the tails like that. And now I've got a lovely knot. Run my thumb and forefinger over it. I've got a knot that's relatively close to my work, so it's only going to have to go through a couple of beads to be buried then in the beadwork, which that makes it easy, particularly if you're doing this near size 15 beads. You really don't want to be dragging a knot through too long a work. But I really like the fact that that method of placing the loop over the top enables you to be really close to your beadwork. Okay, so where am I up to? Now, I've got my little green ring, that's the base there. So I know that's where this cab is just going to sit nicely on the top of that, okay? Now, I'll probably do some peyote and something and fill that in. I think that's probably what we'll do. All right, so let's go to that green ring in this to start with. So I'm just going to maneuver my needle to come out of one of those center green beads. There we go. Just pull. So you heard me just pull that knot through and come through here. There it is. The knot's getting closer and closer to being completely buried in the beadwork. Now I'm just going to run my needle all the way through those center green beads. Like that. And it just helps form a really nice ring as the basis to sit that pearl cab in. So prismatic right angle weave and triangular shaped is great as a little nest for a cabochon. So if I draw that really tight, you can see how that just sort of buckles a bit. I don't want it that tight. I'm just going to sort of push that out so it's still flat but secure in a ring. And this little border it's going to sit just nicely on the top of it, and we can do some sort of peyote up over the edge of it. I'm going to just cut off the tail thread here as well because that's well past being needed. And if I pop my little cab on there, where I want to come out of, let's have a look where that might be. So I've got my brown beads going up and down, brown and pink, and my green beads going up the side. So I have to come up through a green bead. So let's come up to a green bead. Where am I coming out of there? Pink. Because the green beads are peyote facing, which is going to work. I might pull in another colour now as well to capture that cab securely. So come up through a green bead. Let's grab out so you can see a bit of contrast. Potentially a size 8 bead might work for this. So I've got these gorgeous copper, check copper from Cranberry. I love this copper and matte range. It could be Katrina making it muffle. I don't know. I'll try and not knock it. We'll see how that goes. Okay, let's try that now. I'm just going to try a size 8 bead here and pop that in between each of the green beads like that. So because that triangle prismatic weave is sort of flaring out, because I've done that center ring and made that a little bit tighter. It's given me a little bit more gap there between those size 11 beads on that outer edge. So a size 8 bead would fit really nicely, as would, I possibly could have used a triangle bead in there. That might have been a good idea. But you can see there that sort of starts to flare out that net and makes that easier to see where that cab is going to sit. So I'll keep pulling that size 8s out there. And like that. Nearly at the end. And then because I've got that little ring that is the base that the cab will sit on, I can then start to do some sort of peyote over the edge or net over the edge of the cab to hold it in place. And use something like, you know, a size 15 little net with a 3mm, something like that usually holds that type of thing in place. So there's my nice ring now with the size 8 beads. And if I hold that in place there, I can do a sort of a net. So let's see what that looks like. So I think I need some size 15s, and I'm just going to grab out some gold ones. And I'm going to start the net coming out of a size 8 bead. Remember, I did an even number. It's always handy to have an even number for this type of thing. And if I pick up 5 beads, I might pick up 5, 1 green and 2. So that's 5 in total. So 2 15s, a green and a 15, 2 15s. And I'm going to go through the second size 8 bead like that. So 2 15s, a green and 2 15s, and then through the second size 8 bead. So now I'm forming these nice little nets that will hold this cab, I think, in place. So 2 15s and a green and 2 15s. That way. And as much as, you know, this is not necessarily a piece that I'm thinking of how I'm going to be using this in finished beadwork, it's more to sort of show you the technique of how to use prismatic right angle weave in triangle form to capture a cabochon of any sort of size. It's about making that base rope long enough, preferably in an even number, to be captured around your cabochon of whatever size that might be. And as in some of those pieces that I showed earlier, I've got different sizes in there and different shapes too, ovals and sort of squoval, square ovals. So different shapes work with this as well, because there's so much flexibility in the prismatic piece. You can wrap it around ovals and other shapes quite easily as well. So there's my 8 little nets that I've now put around, and they look a bit loosey-goosey there at the minute, but they will tighten. And what I'm going to do is come up through one of the green beads that's right there at the top. And I want to actually join these together with something to hold that in place. So I might need a 3mm something. Let's see what I've got. Hopefully that sounds a little bit better, Katrina. I'm trying to avoid talking into my neck if I can avoid it. So hopefully that's a little bit better. So I'm just looking for maybe a pink 3mm, I think, so that it ties in with that other colour, and put that over the top of my little cabochon there. So we'll see if that makes any difference. Okay. So I've got here my little pink, some little pink 3mm, and pick up one 3mm and then go through the next green bead. This is the beauty of using different colours too with this type of work, because it makes it easy to know where you've got to put your next bead and what you've got to do. Okay, so pick up a pink and go through the green, pink and through the green, and fingers crossed it's all going to just fit nicely together. I'm sure it is. If not, we'll make it work. So a couple more pale pinks in there. So pink through the green. Come on. And then pink. Now I'm not pulling that tight just yet because I'm still sort of pulling that in place, but you can see as soon as I do draw that in, it creates that nice ring to actually fit things in. Actually, it actually looks pretty good, to be honest. Okay, so I'm going to draw that tight, and look at that. The cab is now held in place. So I'm just going to run my needle all the way through that last round, all the way again. And I will put something in the back so that it is secure. So if I wanted to turn this into, a drop, use this as a component in a pendant, lots of different ways you can use this sort of piece. But the 3mm pearls on the outside form a really nice edge and just hold that. So there's a little bit of peyote in this, a little bit of netting, prismatic right angle weave. So, multiple techniques in one little tiny component. And it's certainly not secure yet because you can see it's sort of moving around as I'm trying to tighten it and make it behave. But it's definitely getting there. And that's part of just with your bead work, is just sort of holding it in the place that you want it to be, stitching it so that it stays where you've placed it as well. But yeah, that's a really nice little component there. And now I've just got to tidy up this back part here where we have that lovely ring that we made earlier so that it stays nice and straight. So you can see there's the back view of it there. There's the ring that I made earlier, so I can just do some peyote stitch over the back of that. Okay. And then there's the front. And again, there's more embellishment you can do off this type of thing as well. You can build, because of the different stitches and things that have been put into this, there's lots of places that you can add different things. And I will try and add a triangle bead, I think, too, given this is a triangles session. And I sort of think I know where I can put a triangle bead off here. But what I'm going to do now is bring my needle all the way to the back, because I want to secure this cab in place, because it's held, but it's not secure yet. It's still a little bit flexy. So let's bring the needle all the way through to the back. Okay. Through to one of those green beads that are in that center ring. And you can see that it's just the perfect spot to actually do some peyote. And the first row I might do is just do a row of 15s in those gaps that are there. So I'm trying not to move it around too much, because it's a little bit fragile holding it just in place at the moment. It's there, but it's got a little bit of flex, so it's still moving. So I'm just going to pop 1 15 in between. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to do a net straight away. So I'm going to do the same net that I did at the front. So let's pick up 2 15s and 1 green and 2 15s, and then skip over 1 green and go through the next one. like that. Okay, that will work. So 2 15s, 1 green, 2 15s, skip over a green and go through the next one. And this will form straight away when I bring all the green centre beads together. They will just join up and hold this cab in place. So again, just repeat that little bit of netting all the way around. Now, I had a question just before about the workshops that I'm doing, so I'll just pop those up again so you get to see them. All workshop fees with me include everything. So it includes your kit, one kit of colour of your choice. It includes all your instruction, digital copies or hard copies depending upon how we're delivering the session. Everything is included. So, and including delivery of your kit by postage or in person. So if it's a Zoom class, your kit will be mailed to you. If it's in person, I will deliver it to you on the day of the class. But everything is included in your workshop fees. You only have to provide your own needle and thread and bead board, etc., that you like to bead from. But everything else in terms of your beads is included in that. So look out for those. They're all listed on my website at onastring.com.au under workshops. And there's the zinnia layered pendant. There's the buckles and bohos, which is 2 different earrings in one day. And there's the Fortuna earrings. So if you're interested in any of those, please have a look at the website or send me a message. And I'd love to see you at one of the workshops that are coming up over the next couple of months. So lots of new designs and fun things to learn with me at On a String. It's my favourite thing is to teach people how to bead. So I'd love to see you at one of those workshops. Okay, let's go back to where my work is at. So I've got one more little net to add. And we'll see if this sort of holds things in place. I think it will. Okay, the final little size 11 is there. And again, you know, the beauty of doing the 3 different colours in that initial prismatic piece means I sort of know the anchor points that I want to poke my needle into because of the colours that I used and knowing which piece is the right one. So I'm going to come back up through one of those centre size 15s on a net there. Like that. And go through each green bead. So through each green bead, and I should have 8 of them if my size, you know, my 16 bead count worked. I'm sure there's 8. And that will just draw that really nice and tightly and back that cab. Go back through one of, you know, the first one a couple of times. You see it's just sort of flipped. Oh, it's nearly popped right out there, but I'll just push it back where it needs to go. Pull that nice and tight. And there you go. Look at that. That cab's held in place now. It's nice and neat on the back as well. Really nice finish on that. And plenty of opportunity to add more components on the outside of those rings. So a really great way to use prismatic right angle weave. I will do a little bit more work on that, and I'll put that in the finished video later on. But you can see here lots of holes and opportunities to add more beads. This could be a lovely earring component. It could be a, you know, part of a pendant. It could actually be a really nice ring. Actually, that might be what I should do. What do you think? Maybe a ring out of that would look really cool. You could just do a nice band on that, and there's a, you know, a new pearl ring potentially from what I'm actually been working on. Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit of a recap of some of the things that we've been looking at today. So this was the prismatic right angle weave rope that I turned into a cab capture. So with some different coloured beads, some pearls on the top of that, and a 14 mil pearl cabochon in the centre. So that was really fun to be able to do that one. I also showed you how to do some brick stitch in triangles. So a triangle brick stitch with a triangular metallic frame as well. And last but not least, where is my other board? Over here. I have the geezer earrings. Thank you so much, Penny, for naming those for me. So the lovely geezer earrings here using the Kheops beads. So you can make those in either a drop or a non-drop version with some little 3mm crystals in there. And I will write that one up as a tutorial for On a String VIP. So please make sure you check in the group when that file goes up as a freebie for you. And I will revisit how I made the first one, because I cannot work that out. So I will go back and have another look at that sort of windmill shape, which came together so easily the first time, but has not wanted to cooperate the second time. I need to think about what that actually looks like. So that's been our session today. And I really thank and appreciate everybody for coming along and having a look at some of the triangles galore as part of our session. And as I said, some of these pieces I'll play around with and do a little bit more, but enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Happy beading if you get to actually do any beading today. And if I'm going to see you tomorrow at the BSV meeting, I'll look forward to catching up with you then, or see you next time online with my next Facebook Live, which will be all about black and white. And that'll be thanks to Angie from Angie from Chicky Babes Beebs, who will help me out with that one. So thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hey, it's Paula again, and I thought I'd just come back at the end of this video and update you with a few things that I finished as a result of today's session on triangles galore. So the first thing is the earrings, the geezer earrings. You can see there I've got the two of those actually completed, and I will write a tutorial for those, but they're using the Kheops beads. So thanks, Penny, for the inspiration of the name for those. I also finished the secondary pair of those, the ones that don't have a drop on them. I'm actually just going to flip down to my work screen so that you can actually see exactly what it is that I've been doing. Okay, so here is the geezer earrings. So they've got the Kheops beads on those, and that's the blue and aqua pair that don't have the drop on them. And then there's the copper and gold that do have the drop. So there's one of the finished pairs of earrings. I know I struggled a little bit with the Tango beads and creating that whirligig sort of pattern. I actually managed to work out what it was. So it's the selection of the short hole versus the long hole with this particular bead. So it's a matter of picking up short hole and then long hole, but making sure that the earrings and the beads in themselves are actually aligned diagonally. I'll put a diagram together when I actually write these ones up. So it was a little bit tricky thinking about which way to actually place the beads in the particular holes, but you can see there I did manage it. But in doing that, I also decided on another little tiny design with the Tango beads. And this is in a gorgeous colour called matte lizard green. So again, using just the small holes with these ones around the centre, and then I actually completed with some size 11s in between those gaps, and then just popped a nice little SS39 crystal in the top of those. So that was an added bonus out of the Tango beads. So two different ways of picking up the beads at this very start created the different methods in actually capturing those. So that'll be another tutorial that I'll pop up as well. And then last but not least, I did finish the brick stitch triangle earrings as well. So I now have a completed pair of nice pastel-y summer earrings to wear. And I also did a little bit more work on the triangle prismatic right angle weave piece as well. So I ended up turning that into a tiny pendant. I did a few extra rows of embellishment from where I finished the tutorial today. So an extra row around the outside edge with some more 3mm pearls in it. And you can see the back is actually finished really nicely as well with that. So both the back and front look terrific. And where I had the size 8 beads there, I just popped a little pink one in between and just sort of made that a nice pendant with a peyote odd count bail. So that was a really productive session today. Lots of different pieces came out as a result of that. So the little pendant here, the whirligig earrings that are part of the Tango beads, the little Tango drop earrings as well, the geezer earrings with the Kheops beads with both a drop version and a non-drop version, and then the brick stitch triangle earrings as well. So all in all, a really productive session today, and I hope that you enjoyed it and you get to see these pieces finished now as well. Thanks. Bye.